be presenting today. It's such a pleasure. Kind of funny story. I attended the SEAC meetings when I was a student back in 2016, and today look at me presenting. So that's such a pleasure and just an honor to be here. So I will be sharing my screen, and please ask questions as you want. There is no problem. I'm not very Zoom, so it might take me a minute here to share the right window. And I think that is what I want. Cameron, help me if you can see my presentation, or whoever can see that, please let me know.
I can see it.
Awesome. So in this presentation, we will be talking about preparing for the PE and the SE exams. I will be sharing a lot of good stuff with you guys. This meeting, as you guys know, it's hosted by the SEAC committee, and I am your presenter, Nabil Khatib, and I will be talking about the following items. So introduction, I think Cameron talked about the SEAC, so I will be jumping to the objectives. We've got a lot of time, so please don't be hesitant to ask questions through chat or any other comments and concerns that you have. So the objectives for today: learn about the PE and the SE exam, leave with confidence to take one of these exams if you are taking the PE or the SE, and hopefully you guys connect together and do some group sessions, help each other. Always communication, in my opinion, is the best tool to have as an engineer, because sadly we are not good communicator in general, so we just need to definitely work on communication. So that is the overall view. In the agenda, I will be talking about the introduction, the PE exam, the SE exam, some tips and tricks, how to prepare if you're taking the exam tomorrow, next week, next month, and the next few months. And then we're going to be talking about the most common FAQs, and then obviously, hopefully we'll leave with some time for questions and answers. The PE Civil Structure exam. Before I start this, I want to also say that this webinar also could be helpful, I guess, for FE and level exams. But primarily, we will be talking about the PE Civil Structural and the PE Structural, what is well known as the SE exam. If you're not familiar, registration is one of the very first step that you have to do in order to take the exam. If you're not familiar with the NCS controls this exam, and the SC as well. One thing that you want to know before you take the exam, plan for 3, because the slots and the openings can be taken very quickly. So let's say you're planning to take it in October, it would be good to register right now. Don't worry, you will have 1 year, 1 full year for you to register for the exam. So there's no problem registering right now and then take it in February or taking it in March of 2025. We are hosting this webinar under the SEAC. So if you should be familiar with DORA. DORA is the requirement for the PE, or to be officially PE. It would be very helpful to go under DORA website and read about the requirements. This is not discussed in this webinar. Other states could have different requirements, such as California. They require you to take the seismics and the surveying exam on top of the national exam or the NCS exam. Make sure that if we're getting questions, Cameron, please let me know, because I know there's some chats here and there. So just keep me posted.
I can do that.
Okay,
yep.
Perfect. And back here. Okay. The PE exam changes. I think the SEAC already hosted another webinar about 5-6 months ago, and they talked about the changes. But if you are not familiar, the NCS has changed the specs, and they took the breadth portion out of the PE civil structure. Now we are having only 80 questions, all of them on structural depth. With that being said, I don't think that's not a really any formal information, that it's not going to be all structural questions just on the depth portion. You might have still a question on some geotech, classification of soils. You might have some random question on compaction, on settlement. You might have question on safety, and that is under the specifications. So if you go to the NCS website, you go under the specifications, open that, you'll see some of the topics. Now they're under the depth topics. Nothing really changed on the, I guess, the protocol of the exam. Still 8 hours, including 15-minute scheduled break. You could still take a break if you would like to, and outside of that 50-minute, just raise your hand, make sure that you follow the system, and don't really, move before they tell you to move. And then the exam, one thing that changed about the exam, the cost was increased by $25. It was $375. $400. One comment here that I will probably be touching on more when we get to it is the 80 questions, and that's another thing that I would like to share with you based on the experience. 80 problems, but there's 10 pre-test problems. Don't tell anyone, because that is not formal. That is just, if you look at the diagnostic report, you will count the number of questions, you'll find out 70 problems only. That is not under the NCS website. So just keep that in mind. The exam can be taken anytime, but up to 3 times a year. You cannot take the exam more than once in what they call it the window, and which is basically a quarter. So you could take it up to 3 each quarter. You could take it once only. The positive side of having the CBT, which is the computer-based test, is you get your results pretty quick, only in 7-10 days, usually, and I would probably say always on Wednesday. I got one of my friends, clients, they got the result today and he passed, which is great. On Wednesday morning, around, I would say 8 o'clock Mountain Time, probably 7 o'clock Mountain Time. And if you take it on Saturday, on Wednesday, that's a trick. So when I took it on Friday, I got the result on Wednesday. If you take it on Saturday, you get the Wednesday as well, which is just a few days. But if you take it on Monday, you do not expect the results on Wednesday. You would expect it on the following Wednesday. The NCS, you have to take it in one of these locations, the Pearson VUE Test Center. So that's why they get filled up pretty quick. So I would definitely encourage you to sign as you can. If you know that you're going to be taking it in this year, you still have 1 year, to go. Most questions are multiple choices, just the regular multiple choices. However, there is something called the AIT, alternative item types, which that is basically could include drag and drop, multi-select, point and click, which is a predetermined element that you can click on it, and fill in the blank. Usually you get probably around 32 to 3 fill in the blank. You get probably around 2 to 3 multi-select, could be more. Most likely 1 point and click, most likely 1. If you get that would be the worst case scenario, having 3 drag and drop, or drag and drop 1, 3 multi-select, point and click 1, and fill in the blank 3. That would be really, you're not having a great luck that day. That is a brief, I guess, summary on how the PE exam works. I will be also
Hey,
down the
Nabil.
stretch. Let's talk about the, yes.
Sorry, can I pause you for a second? I think we're all having a
Yep.
little bit of buffering. Do you want to try turning off your camera and seeing if that helps improve the audio and
Of
buffering?
course. Does that help?
Cool, thank you. We'll see if that helps.
Of course.
It's not too bad,
Yeah.
but you're coming in and out a little bit.
Okay. Just let me
Thank
know.
you.
Like, of course, not a problem. And if that continues, just let me know. I could probably switch internet. But that concludes the PE exam presentation for now. Let's hop in to the SE exam, what is right now well known as the PE structural exam. Guess what? The SE is now CBT. It's computer-based test, and it is the same. It works exactly the same as the PE civil structural exam at this point when it comes to the location, the registration, even how many times you can take it. For the breadth portion, it contains 2 components. The vertical, draw the vertical and the lateral. Vertical would be also 2 components, breadth and depth. And then you get the lateral as well, breadth and depth. The depth portion is only offered twice, or I guess, the vertical would be once and the lateral would be once a year. So if you see this year, that would be October, no, actually twice. It'd be 1 April, 1 October, and for now, October 10th for this year for the vertical and the lateral. Next year, we'll have April 15th and 16th, but then also we're going to have another one in October of 2025. So basically twice a year. The breadth portion for the vertical or the lateral would be 55 only multiple choice, 1 single response, and they will include 10 pre-test questions. Sadly, nobody knows and pre-test questions. Therefore, you want to try your best to get all the 55 questions correctly. Some indicators that this problem could be a pre-test by looking how many minutes that the problem could take. If it takes more than 6 minutes, which if you do the math, it will turn out to be 6 minutes each problem, it could be considered a pre-test problem. Or the problem is a little too hard or a little more than what regular SE problem. There's some standards, but I don't think this is kind of like a formal standard list that you need to know. Just make sure that you practice problems in conformance with the manuals, practice problems in accordance with the specs, and do your best to solve all the problems. And then if it did not work, if you're running out of time for some few problems, you could get kind of like a pick an educated guess to solve all the problems. The exam is going to be, for the actual exam, 5.5 hours. Going to be the same thing, a scheduled break. That'll be 20 minutes. And then the 10 minutes, between basically the tutorial and all the onboarding, I guess, steps with the basically the instructions. That portion will be the same thing, vertical and lateral. You have to position your discipline or what you would like to take. Do you want to take the bridge section or the building section? That section exam contains 5 scenarios. Each scenario will have 12 questions, and these questions under the AIT, alternative item types. So they could be drag and drop, they could be multi-select, fill in the blank, predetermined element, or other, right? make sure that you understand what each scenario includes. So each scenario includes 12 items. So 12 items times 5 scenarios, that's 60 problems. But they're not going to grade 60 questions. They're going to grade only 40 questions. How it works, the 5th scenario is completely pretest. So that's 12. So now we're missing 8 problems. Each of these scenarios, 2 of the 12 will be pre-test questions. So 2 times 4, that's 8. 8 plus the last scenario, which is 12 questions. So 8 plus 12, that is 20 problems. Question is the 12 pre-test items for the 5th scenario would be just like the number 5 on the actual exam? That is some. So I want to make sure that we solve again all the questions. Pretend that you have the 60 questions graded. I know this could be hard, especially with time. You know, it's going to be roughly less than, I think, 5.5, what 5.5 minutes per each question. So that is going to be tight, but do your best. Some indicators, I can share some of these indicators later, but try to solve all the problems. The exam hours, the total exam appointment, it is 5.5 hours. Same thing, 20 minutes for the schedule break and the other 10 minutes for the onboarding. You could also go to the NCEES website, enter the P exam, and go to the CBT structural. Some great information. Also, there is another resource that you can look at it or reference. That would be a YouTube video that was recorded by one of the, his name is James. That's a very useful YouTube video. I think I had it here somewhere. It's right here, that one, which we can.
Hey, Nabil, you are cutting out a little bit still. I don't know if you have a different Wi-Fi to try. It seems like a little bit better, but there is still a couple times it'll pause.
Okay, hold on. Let me try to do that. Give me 1 second, Cameron.
Yeah, of course. I can still understand what you're saying, and they're not bad pauses, but
I'm gonna try that. Can you hear me?
yes, I can.
Okay, so I'm gonna try that. Let me know if it's still cutting in and out. I'll
Okay,
try
I can.
another one. So summary for the SC exam: vertical breadth, 55 questions, 45 graded. Lateral breadth, 45 questions graded, total 55. Vertical depth, 60 questions, 5 scenarios. 4 scenarios will be graded. The last one not. And 2 questions or 2 items from each scenario will not be graded. So it gives you 40 graded, 20 not. Lateral is the same thing as the vertical depth. Pick your own discipline. I guess your own very specific discipline. PE, civil, structural, and then you went to the SE, and then now you're going to pick whether it's going to be bridges or buildings. Camera, are we doing better or no?
I think it's about the same, but maybe even a little bit more feedback on your microphone. I don't know if anyone else has opinions.
Okay, I hope that everyone keep giving me some feedback so I can try more, I guess, options.
Okay.
The exam cost it was 500 for each section. That means 500 times 2, the old school, basically the old format. Depth, basically vertical and lateral, and that would be a total of 1,000. Now with 4 sections: breadth, depth, breadth, vertical, breadth, lateral, and then you've got depth for the lateral and vertical for bridges or buildings. Each one 350. So 350 times 4, you need to pass all of them to be officially an SE. 350 times 4, that's a total of $1,400. Total test time is now jumped in from, it used to be 16 hours. They call it a 16-hour test. Now it's 22, but that's the total. So including everything, 21 hours for the actual exam, 5.5 times 2 for 5 times 2 for the depth, so that's 11 plus 10, that is 21 hours for the actual exam time. Breadth exam results, very similar to the PE civil structural exam, which is 7 to 10 days. Depth exam results are available within 6 to 8 weeks. Eventually, according to that guy, I think James, he said that will be the same as the, so basically the results available within 7 to 10 days. But now it's 6 to 8 weeks, twice a year. You can pass each, and that's the positive thing, you can pass each of these individual sections on like basically individual. So if you pass, let's say the breadth for lateral, breadth, that's what happened to me, breadth lateral, breadth vertical, I don't have to worry about those. Now I need to focus on the depth. Let's say I failed one of the depth. I need one more to be officially an SE. I know some people probably they have this question, what the SE helps you. I'm gonna let that question slip for now, and then when we'll get to the end, we'll share that my thoughts at least. Some updates on the codes, not on the actual exam contents. So they changed the ASE 710 to 716, the TMS 2013 to 2016, the AASHTO 7th edition to 8th edition, IBC 2015 to 2018, and some other, I guess, changes. I think they kept still the PCI to the 7th edition, and I think the NDS now becomes the 2018 version, not the 2015. Let's get to the most exciting, I guess, item on the list here, which is the tips and tricks how to study for this exam. How to be. Yes.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna pop in one more time. I think the first one you had was a little bit better.
Okay, you're glitching.
Oh no, maybe we're all glitching. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but okay. Oh God. Okay,
maybe we're all a little bit choppy, but okay. Yeah, in the comments too, sounds like it's just a little bit choppy, but okay. I do think the first one you had seemed a little bit better on my end. But again, not bad, not perfect, but that's okay.
Okay, I'm gonna try one more time here. And go back to the original one, but it looks like everyone is, cutting in and out right now. At least both of us.
Yeah, I'm at home as well, so it could be not the best internet for me either.
For some reason, usually at this time, my internet is not great. The kids, they're watching YouTube, so that's probably it.
I always make a joke too that at the end of the day, the Wi-Fi just never works as well because it wants you to go relax.
Let me try that here. I'm gonna try this and let me know. I'm gonna switch to the. Cameron, can you hear me? No?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so I switch back, so let me know, please.
Okay.
Tips and tricks. Okay, we're going to start with something that I've created over the past 2.5 years. I've been dealing with the PE Civil structural exam for the CBT, for the computer-based test. And I found out is a really cool framework that kind of summarizes what you really need for this exam. It's called the 4T framework. T number one, it refers to terms or terminologies. Before you try to do something, you need to understand the terminologies of that thing. Okay, I'm gonna deal with a one-way slab. Okay, I want to know what are the terminologies that could pop up when I do a problem on a one-way slab or two-way slab. What is the difference between them? What is this nomenclature? What is that, definition? So that's number one. You won't be able to understand or to solve problems before you at least understand what each terminology means, right? The second one, I want to keep the T thing, so I call it templates. Templates, I'll show you here an example for templates, which is this. When I actually for the exam, I found out templates are the best thing to do to prepare for this exam. What basically templates are, you come up with, you or whosoever is going to help you, or who, if you're having a good grasp on the manual, or you could watch YouTube. Some people, they offer some great tips on some manuals, will summarize, the most important chapters slash sections slash tables for you on each of these, manuals, right? So that's what I meant by template. Third T, which is always, a great thing to have, time management. Control your time. I bet you, if you control your time, you will pass this exam with no problem. You will do great if you control your time in life. Even just like, doing some management, it would help you accomplish a lot of things. So controlling time is definitely the most critical one. The fourth T, I like to keep the T, so I said trust. So that the fourth T doesn't really do anything. It's just basically a motivation for you. If you do all the first three T's, guess what's going to happen? Trust and confidence will be the result, the fruits of the first three T's. So know your terminologies, practice problems, make sure you know the manuals pretty well, and control your time. And I think there's nothing going to stop you. And I'm very confident if you do this, you'll pass. It doesn't have to be exactly with this framework, but it could be just similar to this. This is the template that I was talking about. Okay, let's talk about in-depth, tips for studying. Get used to navigate through the reference handbook, whether for the PE or the SE. Right now, with the new changes that they have, the current version for the PE exam is 2.0.2, which everyone is familiar. I will be sharing that screen with you, here in a bit. For the SE exam is going to be the 1.0.1 version. Familiarize yourself with the codes. I like to categorize the codes to three categories. What I like to call them: gold, silver, and bronze. The gold one, I like to say ACI, the Steel Manual, the ASCE, alongside with IBC. For the silver ones, I like to say the NDS, the TMS, the PCI. And for the bronze, I say AASHTO and OSHA. Don't get me wrong, these classification not with respect to only points on the actual exam, but also sometimes with the work and the effort that you can do. The reason why I put OSHA in the bronze category is because it's hard for you to control OSHA, but it's not that hard for you to control the ASCE 7, or the ACI. I know it's pretty, big manual, but still you could see there's a lot of great information. OSHA. There's a lot of great information, but it's absolutely hard to control all these and to manage where to find the fall protection, which sub part that would be. So it's just a little hard. Don't waste time. Tap in all these paper copies. So don't be really looking at some physical copy to study off of them. I don't think that is a great idea. Some codes you are allowed to search the entire book, such as the ACI. Some others you are not. You can't really do the entire file, so you have to open chapter by chapter. For example, the steel manual. Let's say you want to do a bolt problem or a weld problem. You might need to go to chapter 8 for the weld, and then go to J2 for weld per chapter 16, or per part 16. They call it part 16, I guess. Use a calculator that you are going to use on the day of the exam and be familiar with it, with the tricks. You could solve a system of equation. You don't have to spend some time doing that on the actual exam. So be familiar with these tips and these tricks for your calculator on the day of the exam. Familiarize yourself with the test specs. And what I meant by in-depth tips here, it doesn't really mean that they go by order, but definitely together they will work perfectly. So familiarize yourself with the specs. Okay, know what are the most important things on the specs. Okay, here's some points that I see: 20 to 24 points coming from this section, where the other section is like 4 to 6. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the 4 to 6 versus the 20 to 24. Matter of fact, everything matters at the end of the day, but be smart with the way you study. So tackle the big portion first, make sure that you control the big boys, and then after that you could go and look for the other items. Practice problems, obviously that's your second T, the templates, including the NCS practice exam. That's what I would recommend, starting with this. Make sure that the level of difficulty is in conformance with the NCS practice exam. Time yourself, mimic the actual exam. Do not just let it go and solve a set of problems for, let's say you have 10 problems, and then you say, oh, 10 problems, I'll just take my time to solve them. That could be okay when you start preparing, but at some point you need to remember that 10 problems should take you only maximum of 60 minutes, an hour. I get this question all the time. Well, I'm not good at time. What should I do? We're all not good at time. Everyone is guilty of misusing the time sometimes, right? So what are we going to do? Are we going to start with 100 problem set? No. We could start with 5 problems and try to control our time. Basically jump from 5 problems to 10 problems, then do 15 problems. If you feel like this is going to be hard, you can start with 2 problems even. Say, okay, I'm going to have 2 problems. I'm going to try my best to get them in 12 minutes. Oh, I got them in 15 minutes. That's not bad. You could even take up to 20 minutes. But that's when you start, and then start every day, get better with time. And in general, the more practice problems that you do, that's just a fact. The more practice problems, the more you expose yourself to things, the quicker and the better that you will be, right? You can only open one reference chapter at a time, so that's something kind of correlates with the chapter or the manuals. You could search the entire manual. Some of them you can't. That's something that I found. If a formula is not required and it's not in the handbook or the design standard or design standards, then either it will be provided in the question, and that's not a really huge possibility, or it would be considered what they call it the GK. The GK stands for general knowledge, and that was discussed by Mr. James, the NCS guy, and he gave an example on 1 foot equal 12 inches. That's not true for the most part. It could be a factor of safety against overturning. It's not listed in the PE civil structural exam handbook, sorry. So therefore, you want to make sure that you know the basic information and basic formulas, how to use factor of safety against sliding, against overturning. How can I solve this, a statics problem that I need the reaction and then take the reaction and then probably or do the maximum bending moment and design the concrete beam. These simple, I guess, what they call it general knowledge, I would highly encourage to encounter when you study for the exam. So it's not always the equation will be provided, and it's not always the equation will be in the problem statement. It might be considered as a general knowledge as discussed previously. Do not waste your time with very complex problems. I get people coming to me and say, hey, I got this set, and it says 1 hour, duration is 1 hour per each question. To me, that is not a very good strategy to practice. I could be completely wrong, but this is what I believe in. And I think that the more realistic problems that you solve, the higher chance that you will pass the exam. The exam is not a hard exam. Trust me, it just needs some time management, making sure that you know your specs, your manual, your handbook, that you can maneuver between the manuals easily. I know it takes time, so that's why I would encourage you to get ready and get, I guess, started first. Make sure that you pick the right timing. Make sure that you have stress-free 1 hour, 30 minutes, whatever. Just focus with that one, because I always get this question. How many hours do you expect me to study every day? We will get to these questions, but I will, jump in here to the next slide. Tips for the test day. Everyone should sleep before the night before the exam. Should, pack if you need to take some snack. Make sure that you drink water. Make sure that if you want to use the restroom, don't just say, oh, let me solve these 2 problems and then take, use the restroom. No, I don't think that's a good strategy. Go to the center 30 minutes prior to your exam. Make sure you relax. Don't really overwhelm yourself. One thing that I really like about giving a tip, I guess, on the day of the exam, flag the flag option. Please familiarize yourself with the flag option if you're not. So go into the NCS YouTube channel, there's a flag, how to flag a question. What I really like about flagging the questions or some questions is you're not afraid. You should not be afraid to flag questions. Flag means that you're not paying attention to that problem carefully. You're just saying, hold on, I want to get other questions and then move on to these easy problems and then get back to the questions that I'm struggling with. Okay. You could flag a problem because time. You could flag a problem because no clue. You could flag a problem because it's a harder problem. So what I would recommend, and that's what I did for my exam, at the back of the, your booklet, they will give you 2 booklets, right? And there's actually a YouTube video about the booklets, the weird marker that you're going to be using during the actual exam. You keep, one of them, of these booklets, and right at the end of the last page of that booklet, why you flag the problem. I know that you're probably going to say, hold on, this is going to be wasting time. I'm going to, write question 22. I flag it because yada, yada. No, you don't have to. All what you have to do is say question 22, or just say 22. F stands for flag. H for hard. T for time. N for no clue. And that would be enough for you to come back to this problem or to the problems that you flagged and know why you flagged them. I found this one of the greatest tips that I will give on the day of the exam. Let's move on here to how to prepare if you're taking the exam tomorrow or next week. Tomorrow, you did an amazing job. Just relax, do your, great, just, basically do your thing on the day of the exam. Put all the information that you learn, you've done amazing. Just be confident, be yourself. What about if I'm taking the exam next week? I would go back and review the NCS practice problems. I would review the codes. I would review the handbook and the specs carefully and making sure that I, catch all these items on the specs. The handbook right now, to be honest, is not as important as it used to be. So it still has great things, but not as heavily as it used to be, at least. What about if I'm taking the exam in a few months or in a month? Review the specs. Number one, know what are the topics that you need to study. Have a good game plan. Collect resources. Always start with the NCS. Build templates for the codes. The sooner, the better. The sooner with the building these, templates, you are going to feel great when the exam is approaching. So when your exam is next week or the following week, all what you have to do is start looking at these templates that you build and kind of read over them, familiarize yourself. What I did for my actual exam, I built these templates, whether just by hand or, on Excel or on Word or whatever, and I printed them, put them in front of me. So I will see, my eyes will recognize, the templates every time I study or every time I sit on my desk. One great tip that I would give you, on that end, do not change location when you study. Don't say, hey, I want to study today on this desk. Tomorrow I'm going to move to the backyard. The following day I'm going to sit on, the front porch or whatever. I would not do that. I would keep one location, one spot to study for actual study, right? Resources for studying for whether the PE or the SE. ASCE, School of PE, is a great, resource. I really like School of PE. AEI, Advanced Engineering Institute, an amazing resource as well. NCSEA, DPI, the SEAOI, and my company, Legend for Tutoring. This webinar is not hosted to talk about Legend for Tutoring, but I do have Legend for Tutoring and I own it, and I have been teaching people for the PE at least 2.5 years, and for the FE almost 5 years. I was told that, the SEAC people, they want some pricing. Feel free to read these slides, but I do one-on-one. I do also some small groups. I'm not a big fan of a lot of people in the class. I tried it. I found out that it's not working great. So if you're coming from a company that you would like to join and there's plenty of people, please, you can send us whatever requests that you have. But again, I'm not going to really focus on the price and heavily here, as I want to, respect the SEAC and respect you as well. The course will be, if you decided to join me, I will be the main instructor for the PE Civil Structural or the SE. Session will be recorded. I don't have anyone who took my exam and failed for the PE Civil Structural one-on-one. I'm among the great, company here for the CBT. Actually, a matter of fact, for Colorado, we're best. We're, having the 179 right now Google reviews. We gain actually 4 since I published this. Manuals and other codes will be discussed. We will work with you as well closely and make sure that you're happy and everything hopefully is going to go well. FAQs. I came up with this idea. I ask questions to myself if I want to get ready for the exam. Where to start? Always start with the NCS. Where to find other good resources? And that's a very broad answer. Any question that is reasonable, time-wise, and in conformance with the manuals or the handbook, in my opinion, would be considered a good problem. How much time do I need to be fully prepared? It depends. I prepare people only 5 weeks. I did prepare people for 14 months. How many hours should I study a day? It depends. Make sure when you study, do not just waste time. Do not say, I have from 6 to 8, Monday through Friday. I'm taking Saturday, Sunday off. I don't agree with that, respectfully. I would definitely be consistent. You could add more hours over the weekends, but please do not go studyless on, weekdays. Don't say, no, I'm just, I'm not going to do anything on Monday through Friday. I don't think that's a great idea. So what should I do? Should I do 2 hours? Probably. 1 hour? Could be. Half an hour? Fine. But do not just say no studying over the weekdays. Do something. You could do 5 problems. 5 problems should take you 30 minutes, technically, right? Do 3 problems, 20 minutes, and that's it. Call it good for the night. Be consistent. If you're consistent with what you do, with studying, routine, in life, I think you're going to accomplish great things. What are the best ways to study and be prepared for this exam? I would say if you follow the 4T frame, work would be probably a great way to start. You could tweak that. You could say, I want to focus on time more than templates. I want to focus on blah, blah, blah. It is completely up to you. How should I prepare if I fail the exam once or more? Going back here, it varies. Did you not have a good grasp on the topics? You have some time management? Did you have some problem with, being anxious on the exam and you freaked out and time slips, whatever? It depends. Do I need to take a prep course such as the School of PE? Most likely for PE and SE, yes, but it's not a must. I'm a big fan of one-on-one. That's my, the way my brain works. A lot of people, they want to save some money and some dollars, and they want to do a prep course in a group, form. As absolutely fine, no problem. There is no yes or no and answers here, so it depends. Should I do a one-on-one or other prep course? I guess we talked about that. What makes the Legend for Tutoring a good resource for this exam? I just, I don't want to get to the details here, but definitely, mainly we will help you offline and online. We would definitely make sure that you're being taken care of. And we are very great in CBT. There's a lot of, I guess, reasons why we're doing great. At least we don't have anyone who failed the exam for the CBT. We have great reviews. We work with you day in, day out. We make sure that you're happy with everything, and also financially is pretty reasonable. Can I fail after all of that? Absolutely yes. The problem is you want to make sure that you have a good mentality for this exam. My mentality for this exam is do not think that you're not a great engineer. You are an amazing engineer. So if you failed, it does not measure how good you are. It does not measure how a great engineer you are. It basically measure how quick you are and how your memory, is it 100% or 70% battery memory? That's how I feel like this exam is, becoming. It's more of like a challenge with respect to time. Control your time. Make sure you know your manuals. That's pretty much it, this exam. And I think with that being said, I'm leaving my personal. I did not want to leave my company's email. Again, I don't want to be very specific about Legend. So this is my personal email, and this is my cell phone number, one of my cell phone numbers. So you could always feel free to contact me. You could always contact the SEAC as well. Cameron is a great person to reach out to. And I hope this presentation, hits the points that you would like to hear me talking about. And please feel free, even if you did not buy any package with Legend for Tutoring, I am more than happy to help you if I can. I am, I was raised to help people. So don't be a stranger. Let me put it that way. Cameron, please, if you want to take over, thank you very much for allowing me to do this great presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and all the tips. I know I used a lot of these while I was studying. I did put a PDF in the chat that has more information on a lot of the different review course options that Nabil touched on. So School of PE, as well as his tutoring company. So there's more information in those, as well as just some basic information on the exams. I have about 5 minutes left. If there's any questions, feel free to jump in or put them in the chat as well. I know at least I'll hang on for a little bit longer with any questions I can respond to.
Sure.
But otherwise, thank you guys for coming. Looks like Joel might have a question.
Thank you very much. After the NCEES practice exam, what other practice exams would you buy first?
That's a great question. Are you looking like for names or just like a general criteria?
Names, please.
Well, let me actually share some of these.
Are you studying for the PE or the SE?
PE.
Let's say P. Yep, that's what I thought. So here's what I like. I've got a lot. When I studied for the exam, I practiced more than 1,100 practice problems. So I like Isaac Okeson, actually a friend of mine. Civil Engineering Academy. And I'm gonna go actually to the YouTube, the Amazon. Hopefully it's gonna offer some of those. That one is a new one I am planning to buy, but I see a lot of good reviews, and hopefully it's a good one. I tend usually to buy practice problems less than $50. So this one I like very much. David G. I can't pronounce his last name. It's a good one.
Could you show us or
Do you
send
need-
the names?
Am I not presenting that?
I still see the presentation screen.
Oh, really? Hold on. Let me go and try one more time here. Share. And what about now?
I still see the same one, but maybe it's just me.
Really?
I see the same one too.
Oh, wow.
I got the link now though,
Says then
so.
Yeah, I'm sending links right now. Sorry, guys. And this one as well. This one, the one I'm sending right now, it is not, I don't have it, but I hear a lot of good things about it. But the one I will be sending after that, I do have everything except the second link. So this, and then PE Prepared, they do have a really good one. Where's that one? PE Prepared. Are you guys getting the links at least?
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, not a problem. Don't try to buy really like 100, 150 practice problems. I tend to see these problems. I'm sorry, 100, 100 and $150. I tend to see these problems are extremely complex. A lot of BS, Bachelor of Science, not another word. Stuff. So I would definitely be more of like $50 or less, and you could find a lot of great things like the PE Prepared, extremely helpful. I really enjoyed that one. And contact me if you really need more. I mean, I don't want to waste your time with sending all these links, but if you want more, let me know. I'm happy to do so.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other questions?
I had a question on for the SE test. Do you have a recommendation for like the order to take them in, or taking them all at once or spreading them out?
I would not take them for sure at once. I personally would start. Do you do bridges or building?
Buildings for me.
Okay, I would definitely do first the vertical breadth, I would do next lateral breadth, and then I would do next the vertical depth, and I would do lateral depth, the fourth one. I'm not a big fan of taking all of them together. Like when I took my exams, I took them a month apart. So I did like prepare, I think 3 months for the first month was just making sure that I know everything on the breadth, portion. The second month was more extremely focusing on the one that I'm taking. And the third month was doing the one after that. Then I took the exam. I passed the vertical, I guess, breadth. And then that month I was reviewing the lateral breadth. And now I'm doing the same thing with the depth, basically a month apart. I'm taking one in August 31st, and the second one is September 28th. So if you want to reach out after that, I could also share with you some of the, I guess, personal, opinion about these exams. I could do more, but I just want to be more professional about the, I guess, the tips and the tricks, because I've got so many, tips and tricks that I can share with you on the actual exam. Like today, I had a client who passed the exam, and he gave me a call for 30 minutes and talk about the exam. But I don't want to share that with you because I don't want to you think that this is the only thing that you have to study. There's a lot of great information to know from people that take the exam or took the exam prior to you taking it, if that makes sense, Matt. Thanks for the tips. Can you explain the
This is Chad Mitchell. I'm CX delegate to NCSEA, and I'm also involved in NCES's development. And I just want to say that back when it was a 16-hour exam, the pass rate for taking both the exams in the same weekend was 16%. Only 16% passed both exams, taking them all together. So it's definitely wise to space them out as needed.
Agreed. Thanks, Chad.
One more question, if I may. Can you show us a template? Like, what exactly is a template?
A template should look like, sadly, I am sharing, but it's not shared on your end, which is no. Yeah, I'm stopping and I'm gonna share again.
And I'll try to answer.
Camera, you're glitching. Can you guys see my screen?
No, just the PowerPoint.
Yeah, still just seeing your pre-PowerPoint.
That is weird. Huh. I'm stopping sharing. I'm sharing now.
Maybe you can just explain a template a bit more. Like, do you have a template for each different problem type, like a retaining wall, and you go through all the steps of solving a retaining wall problem?
So a template could be either a template for the code, or a template could be template for a specific design, I guess, like retaining wall. So what I meant by a template, basically the most important tables, sections from each chapter. And that is very hard to do. The reason why I'm bringing this up, because usually a lot of people, when they go to the exam, they don't have step-by-step, a design, I guess, example that was solved. So when they go to the exam, they start kind of panicking about what is the first step to do. But if you build these templates, it would help you clicks right away, like, oh, this is a retaining wall. I'm looking for the factor of safety against overturning. Okay, I know it's moment vertical divided by moment horizontal. What is my vertical? Okay, here's my vertical. Here's my horizontal. Okay, and then you do the math. But you also could be, referring to a template as the code itself. Okay, like for example, there is a pattern in the ACI. If you open ACI, if you go to 7611, 8611, 9611, all these the same table name but different element. 7611 would be one-way slab minimum reinforcement. 8611 would be two-way minimum reinforcement. 9.611, that would be beam minimum reinforcement. 10-6-1-1, that would be for column. Go to 11, walls. That would be considered also a template. If you go to NDS, 4.3.1, 5.3.1, 6.3.1, 11.3.1, they're the same thing. The factors that go with each, I guess, reference design that you're interested in, tensile, compression, bending, that would be also considered a template. If you go, for example, to what else here? The ACI, no, the ASCE, I guess that we gave an example, ACI. ASCE, if you go to let's see here, table 151, 152, those are really important tables to solve wind or to solve seismic. Why? Because they're talking about the importance factor. Obviously, we're not talking about 722 because importance factor now is gone, except for the seismic. We're talking about still 716, and these are valid and very important for solving the CS value, which is the seismic response modification, or the shear base factor in this case. So you won't be able to remember all this information on the day of the exam if you do not prepare for this. You see me, I'm kind of memorizing this, which is weird, you know, but still, like, it's very beneficial when you remember this and you memorize this on the actual exam. Okay, I remember I did this, I did that. Okay, this problem was very similar. What did I do? I did this. Okay, let's start with this. Boom, 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 and then continue on. Does that kind of answer your question, or am I like way
That was
off?
great. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And the one other in the chat.
Cameron, you're glitching badly. Can you guys hear Cameron?
I cannot.
Okay.
Oh, that's okay.
It's
Well,
your
there's
turn,
one
Cameron.
more. There's one more question in the chat.
What is it? Sorry. Do you want me to go back? Thanks for the tips. Can you explain the AB? Questions on the civil structural P. The AB anchorable?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thanks for the tip. But I think it might have been the pre-test section types of questions or something like that.
Is that you're talking about the AIT?
No, it might be the pre-test, the 10 pre-test questions.
Oh, pre-test questions. Sorry, you
It
glitched
might
for
have
a
been
second.
cut out when that was explained the first time. So.
So pre-test, that's a secret. Technically, it's not shared on the official website. But if you, hopefully that's not you, fail the exam, look at your diagnostic report, add the number of questions, you will find them 70, not 80. And there's 10 problems. There are 10 problems. They are technically pre-test questions, but nobody knows about this unless you really do it day in, day out. So you notice that there's a pre-test, but they're not mentioning this on the actual exam. That's why I like to avoid saying this in a really formal meeting with my clients. I will tell them. Does that make sense, John?
Yes.
Yeah, and I can follow up a little bit too on the SE part of it. So